Hi, hello, I'm Sam Harris and I read, review and discuss fantasy and science fiction books. This afternoon, for you, evening for me, we are going to be running through the books that I have read and the videos that I've made in June 2024. We're going to start off with the books that I have been reading. We're then going to go into the books that I have started. We're then going to go into the channel stats and kind of life update stuff, and then we're going to talk about my top book of the month, top performing video and worst performing video. So let's get straight into things. So this month was a really weird month for me. So firstly, on the 29th of May my daughter was born. So whereas I previously had one child who was 4, and he would go to sleep at a reasonable time in the evening, and then I'd have the whole evening to read. Now, less so. So I'm going from having between 3 and 4 hours to read to having like 1.5 at most. So my reading time has really dropped down. And I also used to be able to get a bit of audiobook listening done during the day, but now if I have free time during the day, I am doing dad stuff. So there's a lot less time for me to be able to do stuff like read. And so I've also been kind of struggling with my focus with reading as well. So whereas previously, like I said, I could read for like 3 hours. Now I'm reading for like half an hour to an hour, and then just being too tired, because newborns don't sleep that great, and no matter, even the best newborns still knacker you out, especially when you have a toddler, not a toddler, a child. He's a child, especially when you have a child as well who does not know the meaning of having a lie-in. All that to say, I finished I finished 2 full books, 1 short story and 1 short story collection. But I did start 5 new books towards the end of the month. And I'll explain to you why I've started so many books in a minute. I did DNF 1 book, and I actually started reading 2 manga as well. So I mentioned this in the previous video, the Friday wrap-up, but I'm going to start doing some manga content on the channel. However, please don't panic. We did have 1 person unsubscribe from that video. The manga content will not be replacing the book content, it will be additional. And it'll only be when I feel like I am like, I have something that I want to talk about. And another people in the comments were like, oh, you really should make videos about One Piece. So I'm definitely going to do that. That's a bit of a preview as to what one of the manga that I've been reading is. So let's start off with the books that I have finished. So the first book I finished this month was Shadow of Hyperion by J.C.M. Byrne. This is the 3rd book in his fourth book in the Hybrid Helix series. Book 5 is coming this year apparently. Really enjoyed this one, and this is the first Hybrid Helix books that I think I was able to give an unequivocal 5 out of 5 to. Just kind of nailed it in every respect. I thought the storytelling was really good. I liked the characters and the character development, which we've seen across multiple books now. And I really loved the story that J.C.M. Byrne kind of told in this book. The full review is on the channel. Please give it a watch. We'll talk about that particular video review later. After that, I read The Blood That Burns the Winter Snow, which is a short story set in the Bound and the Broken universe. I read it on day of release. I did a short for the channel for it, because it's a short story. I did a short. Really enjoyed it. Gave me a little bit of something, kind of get me back into the vibe of that world, which is great because we do have a novel coming early next year. Although I say it's great, it's coming early next year. Like, it's June. Come on, mate. That's me talking to myself. After that, I read The Will of the Many by James Islington. I even still have my physical copy out. I haven't put it away yet because there's no space on my shelves. This book I really, really enjoyed. I binge read like the last 200 pages in like a day, when the first 400 pages took me almost 2 weeks. So most of that was due to like struggling to focus, dad stuff, getting into playing some video games as well. So yeah, lots of distractions this month, which meant that The Will of the Many basically took all month for me to read, which is mad, but I did enjoy it. Really would recommend that book, and my review's up on the channel. Sun Eater is the next thing that I read, and I finished that today, which was Tales of the Sun Eater Volume 2. Now, this is the short story collection. I've even got my Kindle still with the thingy, the cover on. I don't think this cover's great, but it is, you know, it's a temporary one. Christopher Rocchio is replacing all of the covers for his tales, for his short stories and novellas, to make them all kind of line up with each other. Yeah, so I really enjoyed Tales of the Sun Eater Volume 2. Probably the weakest thing I read this month, because I don't know whether, so the first short story and then one extremely short story later on in the book I didn't really care for, didn't really get into. It took me like 2 days to read the first short story, which is like an hour's worth of reading, and then I read like the next few short stories, like one or so a day, to kind of keep it fresh, and then read like the last 3 short stories today, and basically read half the collection in a day. So I'm about to film a full review for this short story collection. The long and the short story of it is that if you're a Sun Eater fan, I'd recommend reading this one. There is a kind of semi-sequel to Lesser Devil, which is one of my favourite parts of the Sun Eater series so far. I actually I put an Instagram story up saying to Christopher Rocchio, like, please give us some Crispin novels, because I love Crispin, and like he's fantastic in this book, in the short story that he's in this book. Yeah, full review coming in a minute. Like, I'm going to finish recording this and then record that. I don't want to give you all my thoughts now, because then I'll have nothing to say in that video. But that's all of the books that I have finished this month. But I've been working on a project with my buddy Philip Chase, and a couple of other booktubers. I mentioned them all in the Friday recap, and I don't want to forget anyone, so I'm not going to try again. But there's a bunch of other booktubers that I am working on a project for with Philip, where we are helping him pre-select some kind of finalists for him to read and review for SPFBO, which is the self-published fantasy blog off. I have been promising for weeks that I would make you guys a video, about SPFBO and about the books that I've been assigned and my thoughts on the first kind of 50 pages of each book. I have almost read the first 50 pages of each book. I have read the first 50 pages of 4 out of 6. One of those has unfortunately become a DNF, which was Embers of Dusk by D.G. Roberts. Just didn't vibe with it. It just wasn't the sort of thing that I wanted to read. I wonder if it might have been that it was too similar in concept. I say similar in concept. The kind of, I wonder if it reminded me a little bit too much of Will of the Many, which I'd just finished. It was good, and I think other people might like it, but I just was not vibing with it at all. So I decided, and I was like, well, if I'm not vibing with it now, I'm probably not going to love it enough that I think I'm going to recommend it to Philip. So I put that one down and DNF'd that one. There are 2 books that are from SPFBO that I have read the first 50 pages and beyond. I've started to continue to read them and really liked both, which is Soul Stealer by L. McInerney. I got that wrong about 4 times on the previous video. And Surviving Westcliff by Thomas Perkins. Those two are really, really good so far. I'm really looking forward to going back to them. Surviving Westcliff, I think, is going to be the book that I read next. Now I've finished Tales of the Sunny Star, I think I'm going to go straight into Surviving Westcliff. I have started Shadow of the Soul Blade, although I'm only like 5 or 6 pages in. I literally just started it while I was eating dinner earlier. So nothing really to say yet, but that one is started. There's one final book which is which I haven't started, so I can't really talk about it in this section. One other thing that I started was a book called Infinity Gate by M.R. Carey, which is my next sci-fi read. So I don't know whether you guys are, if this is the first time you're watching my channel, I like to read fantasy, sci-fi, fantasy, sci-fi, fantasy, sci-fi. I ended the month on a Wheel of Time book last month, so I started it with a sci-fi book. I finished this month on a sci-fi book, so that means that my next up read has to be a fantasy novel, but I like to have an audiobook, a book with an audiobook available. So usually it's the one I'm currently reading. If it's an indie book that has no audiobook, then I will default to starting my next book as audio. And my next book is Infinity Gate by M.R. Carey. So this is a parallel worlds sci-fi novel. I am about 5 or 6 chapters in right now. I don't actually know how far. Do you know what? We're getting Audible up on the tablet here that I've been using for notes. So I've got 12 hours left of a 16-hour book, so that means I'm about a third of the way through. So yeah, we're a third of the way through now, which is pretty exciting. And I've basically listened to that on 2 long trips of jobs and stuff to do. I'll probably be listening to it. I have to go to the office for 3 days this week, so I'll be listening to it on those drives. So yeah, good book so far. Really like the main character. Hadiz, I think her name is, Hadiz Tumblewall. She's a physicist living in Lagos. Really, really like her character, really like where it's going. Very, very slight detour from books to talk manga here. So I started reading One Piece. On Friday, I was like, I've read 15 chapters. Maybe we'll see how many I can get read this weekend. And I've not actually read any more because I've been really enjoying Tales of the Sun Eater. But I also have started another manga because I wanted to kind of have I wanted to just try this one out because I saw a video about it. It sounded really good. And this is called Kagurabachi. And this one is as far as I can see, it's like a Yakuza story, but it has some magical elements, some fantasy elements. So yeah, really looking forward to reading more of this one. There's a Yakuza boss who reports to a sorcerer, and the main character has magic katanas. Yeah, it's pretty cool so far. The video that I saw was this is the next big thing from Shonen Jump. Now all of the big Shonen Jump series are ending, and I was like, that sounds like the sort of thing that I want to get in on the ground floor of. So I started reading that. I've only read 2 chapters. Onto the videos. So this month I put out a full complement of videos, didn't miss a day, and I even did an extra one with a short. I am probably going to start making more videos a month now. Not necessarily guaranteed that every week there will be extra videos on the weekend, but I'm going to start putting out videos on the weekend to talk about manga and comics. I'm not going to take up weekday slots with those, so your weekday slots will still be the same. It'll still be book reviews, book tags and spoiler discussions, wandering in chapter read-alongs, and then top lists and stuff like that. And in future when we get back to things like TBRs, there'll be TBRs. So yeah, that's kind of the way that I'm structuring the week, and then the weekend will be I've read X chapters of One Piece, or I've read the first arc of Kagurabachi, or a review of Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. You know, these things that I've been wanting to read and review on the channel for ages, and I've been like, oh, I don't want to scare off the audience here, because I know that a lot of people, and this is why I was very clear in the video where I talked about One Piece, I wanted to be clear that the main channel content is not going to change. But I want to talk about the stuff that I'm reading, and unfortunately, I don't know that many people who have read One Piece, and I don't know enough people who are reading American comics right now. So for me, it ended up that I started the BookTube channel because I wanted to talk to people about books, and now I feel like I've got a lot of really good bookish friends, but I also really enjoy making the content, and I think that I'd like to also kind of branch out and make some manga and comics reading friends. So yeah, that's kind of why I've started to do that content. But while we're on the topic of content, so we had 8.6 thousand views this month, which is pretty good. I think that's like 1,000 more on that than I would normally get on average. And then 773 watch hours in June, which is pretty cool, to be honest. The fact that people spent almost 800 hours watching my videos this month is pretty cool. I also gained 78 subs this month, so 78 is better than last month by quite a bit. A lot of subs have come into the channel from my Wheel of Time video where I discussed the first 5 books of the Wheel of Time. I would like to apologise now for not managing to read a Wheel of Time book in June. That's something that I'm quite disappointed that I wasn't able to get to once. So Matt and I are reading and doing spoiler discussions for all these Wheel of Time books. We're doing one a month. When he tells me that he's getting close to finishing Lord of Chaos, I think I'm just going to put down whatever book I'm reading and start it. Maybe I could read that after reading Infinity Gate, actually, and just get Lord of Chaos done and try and read it as quickly as possible. What else? So, oh yeah, the final things that I want to talk to you guys about is my book of the month, and my top video of the month, and on top of that, the worst performing video of the month, which doesn't mean it's the worst video of the month, but it will tell you that this is the one with the least views. So my video with the least views is unfortunately my review of my book of the month. So my book of the month this month is Shadow of Hyperion by J.C.M. Byrne, and it was the least watched video I made this month. Interestingly, the least watched videos that I used to make like a month or two ago were like 30 views, and this one had 66 views, which would have been a like not terribly poorly performing video like just a few months ago. So it's nice to give me some perspective and think like, wow, even though this is my worst performing video, 66 people still watched it. But it'd be great if more people watched it. So if you have not watched my review for Shadow of Hyperion, I understand that it is a review for book 4 in an indie sci-fi series that you probably haven't read. So go read all those books and then watch all my reviews, because I think that the books are great and the reviews are great. My highest performing video was my What I Think of the Wheel of Time so far, with books 1 to 5. I really enjoyed making that video because I love the Wheel of Time, and I hadn't actually finished Fires of Heaven. I had like 100 pages left when I recorded that video. I recorded it as so the week that my daughter was born she was actually meant to be almost 2 weeks later, right? So she came early, all healthy, 0 issues whatsoever. But because she came early, I had been planning to pre-film a paternity leave's worth of content. So pre-film 2 weeks worth of content. And I'd been filming like double episodes with like basically filler videos. So videos that I was like, right, I don't have to have read a new book to make this video. So I'm going to make this, and then I'll save it for paternity leave. So my plan was to basically record like 2 or 3 videos extra a week, starting from 3 weeks before she was born. I managed to get 3 extra videos filmed, and then she was born. So those then got moved into, I didn't actually take paternity leave from the channel, I just kept filming, and the videos that I had pre-filmed went into kind of the backup hopper, as it were. So they were there to be like put out onto the channel when I had a day where I was like, oh, I actually don't have time to film a new video, let's put this video out. And I usually have 1 or 2 in the back pocket for that. At the moment I don't. I'm hoping to build that back up, but yeah, so I didn't have anything in the back pocket, and I was like, oh, I'll post this out, and then it's been a massive success. Like 2,000 people basically have watched it, which is one of my best performing videos of all time, and it's the best performing video that isn't about e-readers and tech, which have been all of my top performing videos previously. So thanks so much if you have found the channel via that video. I do promise I will be reading Lord of Chaos very soon. I'm really looking forward to getting back into that world. While we're talking about subscribing, you should subscribe to this channel, because that would make me happy. Also, if you've liked this video, give it a like. If you'd like to chat with me about any of the books that I've talked about here, or you would like to tell me about the books that you've been reading in June and your book of the month, then please drop down to the comments. I'd love to chat with you more about them. And of course, have a great evening, and I will speak to you tomorrow.